Start by understanding what elasticity means in economics. Elasticity measures how much the quantity demanded or supplied of a good responds to changes in price or other factors. It's a crucial concept because it helps businesses and policymakers predict how consumers and producers will react when prices shift. For example, if the price of coffee rises, will people buy less or will their habits stay the same? Elasticity gives us a way to quantify these reactions, making it easier to make informed decisions in the marketplace. Elasticity isn't just about price. There are several types, including price elasticity of demand, price elasticity of supply, income elasticity, and cross-price elasticity. Each type tells us something different about how buyers or sellers respond to changes in the market. For instance, income elasticity looks at how demand changes when people's incomes rise or fall, while cross-price elasticity examines how the demand for one product changes when the price of another product shifts. Understanding these types helps us see the bigger economic picture. Price elasticity of demand is perhaps the most well-known type. It measures how much the quantity demanded of a good changes in response to a change in its price. If a small price increase causes a big drop in demand, the product is considered elastic. On the other hand, if demand hardly changes, it's inelastic. This concept is vital for businesses setting prices and for governments considering taxes or subsidies. Just like demand, supply can also be elastic or inelastic. Price elasticity of supply measures how much the quantity supplied changes when the price changes. If producers can quickly ramp up production when prices rise, supply is elastic. If it's hard to increase output, supply is inelastic. This concept helps us understand how markets adjust to shocks or policy changes. Calculate elasticity, we use a simple formula, the percentage change in quantity divided by the percentage change in price. This gives us a number that tells us how sensitive demand or supply is to price changes. If the result is greater than 1, the good is elastic. If it's less than 1, it's inelastic. This calculation is a powerful tool for analyzing market behavior. Some goods are more elastic than others. Luxury items, for example, tend to be elastic because people can easily cut back if prices rise. Necessities like bread or medicine are usually inelastic. People need them regardless of price. Recognizing which goods fall into each category helps businesses and governments make better decisions about pricing and policy. Several factors influence whether a good is elastic or inelastic. Availability of substitutes is a major one. If there are many alternatives, demand is more elastic. The proportion of income spent on the good also matters. Expensive items tend to be more elastic. Time is another factor. Over the long run, people can adjust their habits more easily, making demand more elastic. Elasticity has a direct impact on a business's revenue. If demand is elastic, raising prices can actually decrease total revenue because customers buy much less. If demand is inelastic, higher prices might increase revenue since customers keep buying. Understanding this relationship helps businesses set prices that maximize their profits. Let's look at some real-world examples. Gasoline is often inelastic because people need it to get to work, so even if prices rise, demand doesn't drop much. On the other hand, restaurant meals are more elastic. If prices go up, people can choose to eat at home instead. These examples show how elasticity plays out in everyday decisions. Governments use elasticity to predict the effects of taxes and subsidies. If a product is inelastic, a tax increase won't reduce demand much, so it's a good source of revenue. But if the product is elastic, a tax might cause demand to fall sharply, reducing revenue and possibly harming businesses. Policymakers must consider elasticity when designing economic policies. Income elasticity of demand measures how demand changes as consumer incomes rise or fall. For normal goods, demand increases as income rises. For inferior goods, demand actually falls as people earn more and switch to higher quality alternatives. This concept helps businesses anticipate changes in demand as the economy grows or contracts. Cross-price elasticity looks at how the demand for one product changes when the price of another product shifts. If two goods are substitutes like tea and coffee, an increase in the price of one will boost demand for the other. If they're complements like printers and ink, a price rise in one will decrease demand for both. This helps businesses understand the relationships between products. Elasticity can change over time. In the short run, people may not adjust their behavior much when prices change, but in the long run, they can find alternatives or change habits, making demand or supply more elastic. For example, if gas prices rise, people might keep driving at first, but over time, they might buy more fuel-efficient cars. The availability of substitutes is a key factor in elasticity. If there are many alternatives to a product, consumers can easily switch when prices rise, making demand more elastic. For example, if the price of apples goes up, people might buy oranges instead. This flexibility keeps markets competitive and responsive. Necessities tend to be inelastic because people need them regardless of price. For example, basic food items or essential medicines are things people can't easily do without. Even if prices rise, demand doesn't fall much. This is why governments often regulate prices or provide subsidies for these goods. Luxury goods are typically elastic because people can easily cut back if prices rise. Items like designer clothes or high-end electronics aren't essential, so consumers are sensitive to price changes. Businesses selling luxury goods need to be careful with pricing to avoid losing customers. Some goods, like cigarettes or certain medications, are inelastic even if they're not necessities. This is because consumers are addicted or dependent, so they keep buying regardless of price. Governments sometimes tax these goods heavily, knowing demand won't drop much. In highly competitive markets, products tend to be more elastic because consumers have many choices. If one company raises prices, customers can easily switch to a competitor. This keeps prices stable and encourages businesses to innovate and improve quality. Brand loyalty can make demand more inelastic. If consumers are attached to a particular brand, they're less likely to switch even if prices rise. Companies invest in marketing and quality to build this loyalty and reduce the elasticity of their products. Technology can affect elasticity by making it easier for consumers to compare prices and find substitutes. Online shopping platforms, for example, increase competition and make demand more elastic. Businesses must adapt to this new reality by offering better prices or unique features. Seasonal products like holiday decorations or winter clothing can have different elasticities depending on the time of year. During peak season, demand may be inelastic because people need these items. Off-season, demand becomes more elastic as consumers can wait for sales or discounts. Perishable goods like fresh produce often have elastic supply because sellers need to move inventory quickly before it spoils. If prices drop, they may sell more to avoid waste. This dynamic affects how markets for food and other perishables operate. Durable goods like cars or appliances tend to have more elastic demand because consumers can delay purchases when prices rise. This means sales can fluctuate significantly with price changes, making it important for businesses to monitor market conditions closely. The flexibility of a company's supply chain can affect the elasticity of supply. If a business can quickly adjust production levels, supply is more elastic. If it's hard to ramp up or slow down, supply is inelastic. This is especially important in industries with complex logistics. Elasticity isn't just for products, labor markets have it too. If wages rise, will more people want to work? If so, labor supply is elastic. If not, it's inelastic. Understanding labor market elasticity helps policymakers design effective employment policies. Elasticity plays a role in international trade. If a country's exports are elastic, a small price change can lead to big shifts in demand from other countries. This affects trade balances and exchange rates, making elasticity a key factor in global economics. Governments use elasticity to design environmental policies. For example, if gasoline demand is inelastic, a tax can reduce pollution without causing a big drop in usage. But if demand is elastic, people might switch to greener alternatives, speeding up environmental change. Price controls like ceilings and floors interact with elasticity. If demand or supply is elastic, controls can cause shortages or surpluses. Policymakers must consider elasticity to avoid unintended consequences when setting price limits. During economic shocks like recessions or sudden price spikes, elasticity determines how markets respond. Elastic markets adjust quickly, while inelastic markets may experience shortages or surpluses. Understanding elasticity helps governments and businesses prepare for and manage these shocks. Elasticity is a powerful tool for understanding how markets work. It helps businesses set prices, guides government policy, and explains consumer and producer behavior. By knowing whether demand or supply is elastic or inelastic, we can predict how markets will react to changes and make smarter decisions. Whether you're a business owner, policymaker, or consumer, understanding elasticity gives you an edge in today's dynamic economy.